All right, guys, welcome back to Within Tolerance. This is episode 67, and I once again joined with Dylan. And today it's just Dylan and I, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. So, Dylan, what is up with you?
Another good week actually. So I don't know, 10 hours away from finishing my titanium job, which is fantastic. I built all the fixtures this last weekend for the final ops. I just went over to my customer's place yesterday and got the final buy off on the final ops on it. And yeah, they take a little while for there's like four ops that I roll the part through and yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm still using that same kind of metal drill for more 256 holes on these ops.
Wow.
Yeah. But one thing we did do this weekend, because when I started this job, I was like, oh, of course I'll have time to put TSC on my machine. Like I've had the parts forever. Of course I will. And of course we got to the ops that I had already bought TSC drills for and didn't have it installed. So this weekend we took a couple hours and installed it on the machine, dialed it in, got the everything plumbed up, and it works great.
That's awesome. Yeah, you sent that video. I think you posted that on your story, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Um, and actually, I had a bunch of people reach out and they were like, "Oh, you're not supposed to run it, without the spindle running." But I've spoken to my brother tech this week, and he was like, "Nope, never heard of that problem ever."
Yeah, I don't know why would that matter?
I think maybe people were worried that like the rotary union doesn't seal when it's stopped or something, but like he was like, no, I've never even heard of that issue. And he's like, in fact, on some of the newer the 20K Matsuras, you can't turn it on with the spindle going. You have to turn it on when it's stopped.
Huh.
I mean, this is a brother. It's not a Matsura, blah blah blah. But yeah, that was the first thing I did. Like I think two people reach out and they're like, I was told to not run it except for when the spindle's running, and I was like, that sounds super odd. Um, and so yeah, I reached out and he was like, nope, never heard of it. I was like, okay. And like, granted, I'm posting it out from Fusion, so I'm like the spindle's already spinning. I'm not really doing that anyway, but for the two or three times I turned it on while it was stationary just to make sure that it was working, I'm not too worried about it.
And that's just an M code?
Yeah, yeah, it's M494 to turn it on and 495 to turn it off, and we're seeing about 350 psi. We could probably turn it up a little bit, but we're for right now that's totally fine and like such a big upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, even
Like
100 would be fine.
right, yeah, these final ops I'm using like really stubby end mills, slotting in titanium, and so like now I have both flood and TSC going for all of the tools that need it, and like I don't have to worry about pointing my nozzles correctly. Like they're in the rough right area, but I'm not super worried about like starving the tool ever. Um, of course, I bought that TSC drill and then completely forgot to buy the coolant sealed collet. So I'm just running it with a normal collet and it goes through the tool and through the sides. Probably not even through the tool because the orifices are so small, but it's still working fine. And I'm only drilling one hole per part. So I've got to make it through 30 holes or yeah, 30 holes pretty much.
Yeah,
And
that's gonna be cakewalk.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so far it's been awesome. Like it was a really successful last week, and then just finally getting that installed. Like I've had the motor and everything since February or March. Like I got it right around the same time that I got the fixture plate, and so I've just been waiting on it. And like I was slowly piecing together the other parts from McMaster, but I had probably the full kit for quite a while, and I was only missing one or two little fittings that we bought at Ace locally. And plumbing it in was pretty easy. Drilling all the holes in the tank cover was pretty easy. I'm waiting actually on I'm putting some riv nuts because there's like a few holes that are just open through the cover. Like there's a few of them that actually go into the tank as well, and then a few of them that are just open air. And so I'm gonna put some riv nuts in there so I have something to screw into.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, otherwise like I I've had a lot of people reach out for the parts list, and I'm totally willing to share it. But I probably spent more than some people do. Like I bought some really expensive fittings. Like I have a bulkhead fitting for the pickup tube so that it's all sealed and looks nice and fits really nice, and it's all hard lined. And so anyway, I'll definitely share the list with whoever wants it. But it's I probably could have spent another $200 cheaper, $150 cheaper than I did. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's awesome, and it's super easy to dial in. Um, it took us a little bit to get it primed because we thought it was primed, and that like we weren't getting any pressure, and we were like, oh, maybe we wired it wrong, or maybe we did this wrong, and it turned out we just like cracked the outlet for a second until we heard the pump noise change, and then it was done. And it's a little loud, like it is a pressure washer motor, so like it sounds like a pressure washer going. But besides that, I'm super stoked.
Yeah. Nice little upgrade.
Yeah, and then finally, I mean, you were there at Brad's, and he has those lapping plates that he made from Tom Lipton's video, and you said you had made some in school, right?
Yeah.
And so I got all the stuff and the diamond slurry that he has because, I mean, I have zero reason to lap parts, or like at least right now, I have no customer parts that really need it. But I don't know, it just seemed like a fun project and like cool, just a
Yeah.
cool, fun, pet project to have at the shop. And it'd be nice to just have them for parts I want to look shiny or pretend to be flat.
Yeah, Tom's videos on those are, I just remember watching them over and over again because there's just a lot to kind of unpack.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and like he cuts the slots with like a circular saw, a
Yeah,
carbide tip
I
circular saw,
forgot
and I'm like,
about that.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do that in the mill. And I posted, or I didn't post on the Discord, the Instant Machinist Discord, but somebody asked me on their steel fill, like what, or he recommended not to use a chamfer mill to cut the slots because I guess he did it all in a Haas and like cut the outside and faced them and everything and like did the slots with a chamfer mill. And he says that he has like some scratching on softer materials when he laps them, and he's not sure, but it might be because the slots, they're not slots, they're grooves. So I think I'm going to experiment and kind of do each one differently. I've been doing a lot of research on different lapping plates and styles and all that, and there's ones that are a spiral from the center
Yep, I've
instead
seen
of
those.
grooves. And so I was thinking about doing one like that, and then I was going to do one in just a normal crosshatch, and then he had one that was like all hexagons that looked really cool. And I was even thinking I'm going to draw it up in Fusion and see if it's even possible, but I'd love to do one that's like my logo engraved and then like ripples of my logo.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll play around with it and I'll keep everybody updated on how long it takes and all that. Brad said I could come over and surface grind the top, so it should get me a lot closer.
Definitely do that. I started out, I turned mine and then I ground mine within like a tenth, and like that just speeds it up so much.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I was totally fine just turning them, but then he offered, and I was like, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I
you
don't have a
literally
surface
go
grinder.
from a thou to a tenth with that.
Yeah, yeah, and then it'll just be cool. I got 39 and 3 micron diamond slurry as well, from the same place that he got it. It's on eBay, and if I like it, I'll definitely share the link to anybody. I think it was 18 or $20 a bottle, something like that.
Yeah, that's
So
not
not,
bad at all.
no, and like granted, yeah, I could have bought paste cheaper and mixed it all up. But like I just want to do it. Like I don't want to make all that stuff and have to deal with like finding bottles and mixing the right amounts and like I know that this stuff works and it was relatively cheap and saves me the time from doing it. So
Yup.
um but yeah, otherwise that's pretty much been it. Like we kept the TC running this week, doing some other customer repeat work too, which was great. Um, yeah, it's all been good. I have a new contactor and thermal overload for the TC, and I want to get a washdown pump all primed up and ready for that as well. I still haven't quite figured out what pump I'm going to get, but that thing is hurting for a washdown pump and a roof actually. So I got to get going on that project as well. Now that I've finished all the little Speedio projects except for the mist collector.
Have you gotten your windows yet?
No, actually, somebody asked about that too. T5 Manufacturing asked when the windows are going to coming in. I think there was like I want to say 16-day working day turnaround.
I mean, I feel like it's been that long.
Let's see. I'll look up right now. Plastics. Mm-hmm.
Maybe early next week.
Let's see. So I ordered them. Yeah, they probably should be because I ordered them the 10th.
I just remember when I came there, you had told me you ordered them.
So it's been 14 days. So either end of this week or sometime next week, I should be getting them. Hopefully.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be great. And then we gotta convince Brad's coworker to come in and clean for almost free and list that thing.
Yeah, get that going.
I gotta decide too. Like I'm at an impasse because right now I have like the remains of my Synergy in there, and it looks just kind of nasty. Nothing seems like it's rusting because we coated the inside of the machine a ton with WD 40. But I'm like trying to decide if it would be easier to sell it if I like charge it with a lower concentration of Qualichem and like clean out the machine and make it look presentable. Because like right now, like that Synergy is like turned brown, like not dark brown, but like I don't know, like just like a brownish shade of clear. And so I don't want to waste all that money. But I guess if I clean the machine well and put all the coolant in there and maintained it until we sold it, I could always just drain it and put it in the Brothers.
Oh, is that your worry? Is you don't want to waste the coolant that's in it now?
Well, I definitely want to dump what's in there, but I
Yeah.
don't want to. I just like I don't want to replace it with 20, 30 gallons of Qualichem and then waste $50 worth of coolant or something like that.
Why fill it?
Because I don't want the tank to rust or anything to rust in there.
I mean, if you sell it relatively quickly, I don't think it would it?
Hopefully not. Like
I hope it's
our
not sitting
humidity
for
in the
more than a
shop's
couple
between
weeks.
50 and 60% because of. We'll see. Yeah, the a lot of the shops around here are tied up in aerospace work, and aerospace has kind of taken a big dive, at least in the commercial sector. So I'm not really sure how quickly it'll sell or not.
I think you'll be surprised. I hope you're surprised.
I hope so. I mean, we're going to include a Kurt Weiss, a bunch of BT35 or BT30 tooling. We've got a bunch of pull studs. Whoever buys it will be ready to rock with it. So I'm hoping it goes pretty quick. And like we've got all the manuals. We've got, I want to say we have a spare control board too that might need repair or something like that. I can't remember what we have as far as electronics, but like, we've gone through that thing so many freaking times now and had to fix so many things that like we have quite a few spare parts and things like that. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in my world. What about you? How are things going?
Well, my mill has been running for the past probably 4 or 5 days straight. Like I haven't turned it off, um,
That's awesome.
which is really nice to run molds and just like every 8 to 12 hours go down there, take 5 minutes to swap it out, and I just keep pressing the button and I just keep walking away and like it's just nice to wake up and it's like, oh, it's still running. And like the other day I was like, oh, I'll give it a break. And I was like, wait, why do I need to give it a break? I'm gonna run another one. Like, screw that. And so I was like, all right, run another 8 hour one. And then it was done at like midnight. And I ran another one while I slept. And just that's been great because I'm working on this one product release that I think is 8 or 10 different Lego guns. And so that's, I mean, 8 to 10 molds depending on how I lay it out. So each mold takes anywhere from, I would say, 14 hours to 24 hours total between the two halves. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to start banging these out. So should be done. I got one more mold to design, and then I've just got to test the molds and make the products, and I've got a product release.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that I'm
that was super
hoping.
quick.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get that done. My goal is next Friday, because I've got a lot of stuff I'm working on now, and that kind of goes to my next point about printing. Is I've been printing like crazy, I'm looking at a pile of figures that I've done, but I still got a huge pile of parts that need to get printed. So pretty much all day yesterday and today, up until we started this, I've been printing. Um, so for the fixtures for these Lego parts, I talked about I needed to make some, and I started making a few, but I had a fixture made a while back, and I never ended up using it. But I was able to cut it up and basically kind of jury rig it so I'm able to use certain parts of it, and that saved me a lot of time in designing fixtures, milling fixtures. So now I have fixtures for pretty much everything, and I'm just printing now, which is great.
That's badass.
Yeah, so it's now gone from printing like the front face of a figure, like instead of doing 5 at a time, I'm doing anywhere from 20 to 30 at a time. Um, and just everything's just at least doubled, if not tripled, or 5x or 10x. Um, and so it's an interesting problem. And I've talked to a couple guys on Instagram. I think it was JSP and then Jake. We're all running into the problem of like our stuff selling out so quickly. And I joke with all of them. I'm like, it's such a first world problem, right? Like, keeping stuff in stock. But it really is, because I think all of us were running into the problem of we're spending so much time keeping old products in stock, but we're getting frustrated because we're tired of restocking. We want to make new stuff. We want to, make new products. And so it's kind of this weird balance. And I know I was talking to a couple of the guys, and they're just like, yeah, we're upping our like minimum quantity of parts to make. And I was like, I'm doing that too, but then people are bitching and moaning that's like, oh, well, that's not lean. And I'm like, well, it kind of is lean in certain aspects of it, that I'm not having to restock every week. Now it's every
Right.
2 months. And I'm like, I think that's much more of a win to have a little more money in inventory than having to constantly be printing the same damn thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I was talking to Jake a little bit too because I picked up one of his new handles, and like those things sold out in 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. I don't
That
know
was
how many of them he made, but it's ridiculous.
yeah, yeah, it was awesome, and it came in, and it's like I'm super super happy. I can't wait to shave with it. Of course, like I shaved the day before it
Oh,
showed up,
yeah.
and I was like, damn it, I really wanted to try this.
Yep. Gotta
Um,
wait.
yeah, but like the new top caps and the new handles look fantastic. So if you guys are out there wondering, that definitely scoop one up next time he drops a set, because the handle is like, it's got to be 3 times heavier than the standard handle too.
Yeah.
Like I was not anticipating that. I told him, I was like, oh yeah, I anticipated a smaller one, but like not the weight. And it's like it's a cool piece for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it seems like all you guys are having that same issue where you're like, oh, I'll be conservative and make what I think I can sell, and then it's like gone.
it's I don't know what the right word is. It is kind of frustrating, but it's also awesome at the same time, because it's like, I mean, I just get so tired of printing or molding the same parts, and that's why it's like I'm excited for this new release, because I've never made these parts before, and like there's new challenges, and it's going to be a new part number and just all that stuff. So I'm trying to my goal is to get that new product release next Friday, along with I'm going to try real hard to print everything I have by next Friday as well.
Oh
Um,
snap!
so, because it would be really nice to have basically my whole website to be back in stock. That'd be kind of nice. Um, and so when people go to buy the new stuff, they can also get some of the old stuff that they might not have had. Um, and then to even add on top of that, I got a new production mold that I was posting about.
I
Um,
saw.
and that's for another product release. And I didn't know. So I got the tracking number for that mold, and I think it was it was yesterday. Yeah. And I called them, the shipping company. I'm like, just to make sure this is coming on a truck with a lift gate, because I have no way of getting this, couple 100-pound mold like off of a truck if like I don't have a forklift or anything. And they're like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, by the way, it's coming today, you guys said, which was like out of the blue. And they're like, yeah, it's coming today. And then within 30 minutes of that phone call, I see the truck, and I'm just like, oh, it's here. um, and so that kind of like reset what I was going to due for yesterday because then I got all excited about that. Um, and so open that up. I've got it mounted into my machine, and now I'm running into this other problem. So I it's a dumb problem. It's not a dumb problem, but I don't know why I never thought of it. So I'm running into some problems running the parts on this mold, which I expected. It's a new mold, new process, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't know how much time I'm willing to dedicate to get this running. And then my other problem is, so I know the two problems and I know I could probably fix them, but how much time is that going to take? I don't know. And could I actually fix it myself? I don't know. And then the next question to that is, if this mold's up and running in my machine, I still, people always say like, oh, injection molding is like printing money. I I think most people know that's not the case at all. I mean, even like Danny could attest to like Swiss machining, like, oh, set it and forget it. Like, yeah, for some stuff maybe, but you're always going to have that worry in the back of your head to some extent. And I just would hate to have to sit and babysit this mold while it's running. And I've got like 60,000 parts I have to make with it for this release.
Ooh.
So that's like a week of babysitting, and I don't want to do that. And so now I'm looking, and I talked to my buddy that has a molding shop 3 hours away from me. And I was like, could you run these parts for me at this price? And the price I gave him was like really low. Like, I was like, if he says yes to this price, then like I'm letting him run this because that's like my cost. And he said yes to it just now. And so the only reason I bring that up, and it's kind of a bummer because I would like to run the parts, but the way I look at it is, the lesson I'm learning here is, okay, I don't have to deal with the setup of the mold. I don't have to deal with the maintenance of the mold. I don't have to deal with the stress and the babysitting. And I'm getting parts at basically like material cost. Why wouldn't I have him do all that while I can keep printing and not be taken away from that task? And then by the end of next week, I could also have that release done.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And
It
so,
sucks that you spent, part of today or most of today setting it up, but
yeah, I
still.
mean, it's just like, where do I want to spend my time and where is it most valuable? And it's like printing, I can't offload as of right now. The molding, like, sure, I could pay a friend to like babysit it, but like, why? Like, just like, I just need to get these done. I mean, this one release has been overdue for a very long time, so it just needs to happen.
So is this new production mold a old product that is coming back, or is this a whole new product line?
It is 4 new parts, completely new.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so between that, the weapons, all the printing, like, there's going to be a lot of Lego related products coming out.
That's awesome, man. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, some of the stuff, especially for the production mold, like, I've had the plastic for so long, like, this, you have to get, I wanted to color match some of Lego's colors because yes, you can get like a booklet that's like, oh, these are the plastic pellets you can get in all these different colors, but Lego has their own unique colors, and for some of these parts they need to match exactly, otherwise like what's the point? If I can't give too much else away, otherwise it'd give away the product, but it's got to match. And so I had some Lego parts sent to a lab, and they can color coat or color match it and get me ABS pellet colorant. And so I spent probably $3,000 getting stuff color matched and a bunch of colorant that's going to last me like a lifetime. But I've had that for probably 6 months to a year. And so it's just like all these things. I'm just like, this just project just needs to, I need parts. I need to start selling it. Like, I can't be waiting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like, yeah, like you said, as much as you'd like to run that yourself, like it, if your buddy could do it for your cost, like there's no reason for you to do that, especially if you're in a bind or you like want to get it out quick.
Yeah, I mean, 60,000 parts, that's just like the starting quantity I'm giving him. I mean, he's probably going to make probably over 100,000, if not a quarter of a million parts, because, once he's set up, he's just going to run it.
Does he So is it just him, or does he have employees too?
Oh no, he's got probably 10, 15 employees.
That's awesome then. I mean, like if
Yeah.
he can do it and pay his people for your cost, like that's even better.
Yeah, I mean, I called him because I was trying to troubleshoot it with him over text, and he's like, "Sorry, I just got off the, or not off the phone." He was like, "I'm just with the inspector," because he built just like I think it's 40,000 square foot shop that he's upgrading from like 2,000 to 40,000, and he just wired up like 8 injection molding machines, and I was just like, Jesus.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
nuts.
it's
That is nuts.
he's
So
got
how's the rest of the business stuff going? Like, have you had anybody pack orders off your new tickets? Have you set up being able to print labels from your phone? How's all that stuff going?
labels, no, but I haven't packed an order in probably a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just have one more sheet of inventory. I have to, a written down sheet of different products and the quantities. I have to update and double check on Shopify. And then I'm pretty sure everything is inventoried. It is exact quantities. And just to test it, a couple things went out of stock while packing orders, and we double checked the website, and yes, it is marked as zero. We have no extras. Okay, we either discontinue that product or it just sits for out of stock for a restock, and so everything's accurate, up to date. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's pretty much seamless now.
That's awesome. Oh, the other thing I was thinking. So last time we talked, I mentioned that Zapier has integrations with Shopify, and what I realized is that unless Shopify is a premium app, you might be able to use Zapier to do a rough inventory management until you buy the add-in,
Okay.
because you could have it. I'm sure that in the Spotify, or not the Spotify, the Shopify integration, that you can like have it email you when a quantity gets low
Okay.
or something like that. So that might be worth looking into. I'm bringing it up right now, but I'm sure one of the triggers is like you could probably set a threshold and then have it trigger that integration.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the next step because like I said, I got to update a couple more quantities. There's a couple little things I want to fix in kind of the process of packing orders, but then I want to give it like a week or two of being the process being used to iron out any other bugs. And then my next step is to start doing that inventory levels.
Nice. Yeah, I think that'll be super helpful for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. And it's going to definitely put me to the test with all these new product SKUs coming into play in the next couple weeks and just everything.
That's great though that you're not packing that stuff anymore. I mean that should be quite a bit off your plate. I know that packing has always been kind of a sore spot in your operation for you.
I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things, right? It's just me, and it's like now I can keep printing, or I can keep designing molds, or I can just keep doing you know, one, the things that I enjoy more, and two, the things that I can't really have anyone else do.
Right. Yeah. Totally. That's awesome.
Yeah. So other than that, like I was telling you earlier, I'm just kind of like now it's just kind of like working. Like I'm just doing stuff now.
That's super cool, man. I'm really pumped to hear that.
Yeah.
And it's nice, I'm sure, to get back to machining a little bit, especially since it's your own stuff.
Yeah. And it's just nice to I'm reprogramming. I've had this like for these molds, I have to like profile them, face them, chamfer, and do a couple holes, some basic stuff, and then the cavity work. But that prep work is already programmed, and I have a thing on the machine, a program loaded up. But a couple parts of it I don't like, and I like slow down with the feed rates because I was going kind of aggressive when I first programmed it, and just like little things like that. Um, but I reprogrammed it, and I just got to post it and reload the new program just so I don't have to worry about that. So just little things like that I'm trying to fix.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's something in the future that you can definitely more or less automate too.
Oh yeah.
Like you could have a orange palette or something like that that already has the Mighty Bite Talon grips or something like that to load raw stock in and then flip over and you know, prep like a bunch of molds worth. So are these molds for your manual machine then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're pretty quick, pretty easy. I mean, I get excited when I see an 8-hour cycle time, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a few longer run times on the parts I'm running right now. And like, usually I like getting things done pretty quick, but like having that extra time is also nice. Like I got some reading done. I've set up some other jobs and run them, just little stuff like that. It is definitely a nice difference.
Yeah, so I guess speaking of reading, should we do the book club segment?
So we can either do it now, or I was thinking we could hold off till the end, so anybody who hasn't caught up yet can end the podcast early and then come back and listen to the book club segment at the end.
Fair enough. So slackers, if you didn't do your homework.
Yeah,
This
it seems like a lot of people have really enjoyed it. So, but I was thinking we'll do maybe a little bit more reading this next time. We did 80 pages this time. I was thinking a little more than that because it seems like a lot of people are champing at the bit to read more. Like I was getting messages like a week ago, like, "What are you guys going to talk about it? I want to keep reading," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, we're not there yet."
it was actually funny because I read 10 pages a day just cuz, and I think it was yesterday or last night, like I exactly ended on like where we're supposed to stop. So I was like, "Oh, this is perfect."
Oh, nice. Yeah, I had completely spaced it,
I
and
was
then I
worried
picked it
about
up
that.
Sunday. Yeah, I picked it up Sunday and read, I don't know, 3/4 of what we had to, and then I just finished it actually just before we got on.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I had like 10 pages left, and I was like, "Can we start 15 minutes late? I need to finish this." Um,
No, that
but
okay, yeah, we'll stop talking about the book. I could keep going
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. We'll talk at the end because I forgot how much I liked it, so we'll definitely talk about it. All right, well we can jump into questions then. We've got a couple. I posted late because I knew we'd have quite a few other things to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, so the first two, I feel like the ones from Josh Hacko and Henry Holsters, we might want to wait on until we talk about the book too, because they're along those lines of the chapters we just read. But I guess we can talk about them now. It doesn't matter. So Josh Hacko from Nicholas Hacko Watch Company asked or wanted a discussion of making tools versus buying tools. And Andrew Henry from Henry Holsters also asked, how do you assess the value of things you could buy versus make versus improve in the shop? And like he was, giving examples not only of like the cost value or the opportunity cost, but like the emotional value of like making little improvements that feel very big. And so I thought it was really funny that they both asked those questions independently of each other, and they're like very much on the same wavelength today.
So would an example be like you 3D printing your nozzle, your air gun nozzle holder, like something like that?
I think for like what Andrew was talking about, yeah, it's little things like that, or like putting a patch over like a kick panel that you're constantly tripping over, or like for me, like my lights like was a
Yeah.
little like cost wise cost me, I don't know, I think I've got $80 in lights or like $100 on lights, but like in overall happiness, every single day I'm in the shop, I am 1,000% more happy. I'm like, holy crap, I can see everything. And like now Brad and I are both just addicted, and like we're like, okay, well maybe we could put a light over there and like chain it to this one, and we could just keep adding lights. It's like we could just panel light the entire room for still
Just
less than
cut the
probably those
roof
old
off.
fluorescents. If I would love skylights, like if I want to find a shop with skylights next for sure.
I just
Uh,
it just clicked for me why this can tie into the book. And that kind of goes into, I think, cuz Andrew's asking like what's the value of this? And my answer would be like, for example, your example being the lights, like that's, you can't put a value on that. Like that had to have happened, right? Like at some point. Um and so it's priceless. And the way this could kind of tie into the book, I think at least, would be the whole idea of, I think this is just a cost of doing business. Like that's just,
right? Is it an operational cost, or does it help your throughput?
I think both.
Right, or throughput. So yeah, it's um, personally, like if I'm making a tool, it's not because I need it for business usually. Like the lapping plates are a prime example. Like I don't need them. I want to make them because I think it looks like a fun experience. And like I want to make parts shine. But if I needed to lap something, like if I had customer work that required lapping, I'd just buy a freaking lapping machine and not look back. Just because it's every time I've tried to like half-ass something like that and been like, oh, well, I can just like get by with this, not great solution. You know what? I've ended up buying the better solution in the long run anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know, like a deburring tool. Would you rather just, try to get your way through deburring the backside of a hole, or just spend the money and get like one of those backside deburring tools? Like, I think it really depends on, I mean, there's just so many angles to that. It's like, is your shop busy? Like, do you want to get the job done right? And do you want to get it done now? Then just buy the tool. Do you have some free time? Do you want to play around and make a fun tool? Then do that. Um, I mean, if you're just a hobbyist, then I would probably just make everything, right? Because you learn and it'd be cheaper. Um, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah. If you're not making money on it, then of course make the tool. But
yeah,
like if you will almost never make money making a tool for a job that you're trying to make money on.
no,
Like you will end up like scrapping a part or crashing your machine or doing something stupid or screwing up your fixture, or not your fixture, but you're like, let's say you were trying to make some kind of tool holder. Like unless you can't find it online, just buy it, because you'll like they are experts in making whatever they're making. You are not the expert. So you'll get a better product from them 90% of the time. But as far as like like shop improvements, I think quality of life improvements are like the best thing as a business owner, or somebody who works in a shop. Like the whole 5 second lean thing that Paul Akers talks about, or 3 second lean, whatever it is. Um, that is like so important. It's just the little things like, oh, I moved my trash can 5 feet closer to me and I don't have to walk there every day. And you know what? I've saved myself like 1,000 steps a week or something like that. Like those little things are just so big when you're day in, day out trying to like grind and get stuff done.
yeah. I think I totally forgot what I was going to say about Andrew's point. But as far as making tools, like, I've just learned it's just with everything. Like if someone wants a one-off part, there's a setup fee. And if they want 50 of the same parts, there's still that setup fee. But guess what? It's the same price, but extrapolated out over 50 parts versus one part. And these companies that make end mills, calipers, deburring tools, all this, they've done that setup. That's why that's just how products are made. Like you can't come to me and get a custom Lego figure printed for the same price I sell them for on my website, because I'm already making them. There's a setup, there's a process already dialed in for that specific item. It could be whatever. And so that's kind of my thought on that. Like I would just buy a tool. And then Andrew, what was I going to say about that? The value things you could make. I can't remember, but yeah, I agree that it's just, oh, that's what I was going to say. With every, I'm going to relate this to product creation, because that's kind of what I'm going through lately, is with every new product you make or you want to bring to market, or every job shop part you're doing, or even you could even simplify it to the point where every day you go to work, it's that day or that part or that project, that's a process. And to get to point A to B, everybody knows. And if you don't think this, then something's wrong with you. There's going to be hiccups. There's going to be problems that come up. And so it's how do you overcome those? And shoot, where was I going with this? Is you have to know that going into these things. And so doing those little improvements along the way, everything's a process is what I'm trying to get at. Me printing parts or you machining titanium, it's all a process, and we have to know that there are going to be these problems, and we should already be ready to do those small improvements and kind of build that into our thought process. Like I shouldn't, when I'm printing parts and I'm like, oh, if I move my trash can over here or whatever, it's going to speed up parts. Like I need to know that that's going to be things that come up. I'm going to have to just be ready to do that and not be like, oh, shoot, I have to move the trash can. Like, you have to, that's just part of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think that, I think a lot of the times people get lost in the weeds and like, they're like, oh, well, I don't have time to do that. And it's like, a lot of the times you will feel better if you just take the 5 or 10 minutes, even if it's like a half an hour, unless you are like 35 minutes from your ship window. um, Take the 30 minutes and do your little improvement, because you'll feel better at the end of it. It'll be done, so you can check that off your box for the day, and then like you'll reap the benefits immediately too. Like I don't know how many times I've just like stopped what I'm doing and I'm like, I just need to take care of this. Like I need to, even sometimes it's just like I just need to do the chores. Like I need to take out the trash because I keep throwing stuff on top and it just keeps falling out or something like that. But like it's the little things that, as a business owner, that emotional load that we all carry, I think it's really influenced by like our work environment. And so if you can improve that, it's super helpful.
Yeah.
So Ferrotech asked, can anything be done to keep chips off tool tapers in an umbrella tool changer? I don't have one. You don't have one. I have seen people put brushes on the inside of like the upper shell so that it prevents chips from coming up through there.
I've seen that
Uh,
too.
we actually had to do that in the tool change door on our Doosan at work too. Or I still haven't done it because they haven't given me time to, but I ordered the stuff for it because on the new Doosans, they have a chip door there, but on the old ones, it's just open. And like we all of a sudden started scrapping parts and we were like, what is going on? And then we noticed that there was uh, chips getting on the tapers and then getting shoved into the spindle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I totally empathize with you. It is a giant pain. I would just look on McMaster for like some flexible brush strips and screw them or something to the inside there, so that like you're not looking for them to like brush the tapers off because that's not going to work, but you're just looking for some kind of chip intrusion protection, more or less.
Yeah. I run into the same problem with how bad the tool changer is designed on my machine. And it honestly worries me too much. And I want to add maybe like a wash down like hose that just points at like the pocket or like I don't know something. And that was a question I was actually going to ask you is because on your machine you have that chip blaster, whatever 9,000 they call it, right?
Huh?
Like the wash down, like it just like like right, like all the
Oh
cool,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's a little nozzle mounted just behind the spindle that it does the tool taper wash.
okay, and so that makes that makes your tool
Yeah,
taper.
yeah, the chip blaster 9,000.
No, no, no. Let me finish. It gets even better. I'm doing the Paul Akers 69-second lean here. Okay. Um, so your tool taper is gonna get wet, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's not the coolant. This sounds so dumb, but like, because mine doesn't have anything like that, and so the tool tapers always go in like completely dry. But I've accidentally like hit the coolant button, and my tool tapers just get completely soaked, and they go up into the spindle. That's like it doesn't hurt anything, I would assume.
No, it shouldn't. Well, I mean, it's like a super tight fitting taper, so I'm guessing most of it gets pushed out anyway as it
That's what I
seals.
figured.
Like obviously there's low spots and stuff between the mating surfaces, but yeah, I mean, if through spindle coolant is a thing, obviously coolant like on the taper of the tool and on the pull set is not going to hurt anything.
Okay, yeah, I need to install something then. I need the fucking Cool Blaster 9069.
Yeah, I mean, even just like I said, putting brushes on the side of your like where your tools come out, I bet would help. Just like some kind of little curtain of brushes to block chips would definitely help get things getting up into that magazine.
It also sucks with how sticky that residue from Qualichem is, and it just makes chips stick in the worst spots.
Yeah, yeah, it really is sticky. Like I've been running my coolant extra high to um, for the titanium, and like everything is sticky. But it works. Oh, that was the other thing. I don't. Did I mention that I got the coolant mixer on the podcast? The,
I don't know.
oh, so what was his name? Nikolai, I think his name is on the Discord. Um, Somebody mentioned like, "Oh, what are you guys doing for cooling or coolant mixing?" And I mentioned that I was using a paint mixer, and he was like, "I don't know why anybody doesn't use just like a hose attachment Venturi mixer." And I was like, "Well, like there are a few reasons. Like the paint mixer is $5, the coolant one that I got is $200." But at the same time, I was like, for $200 to never have to mix a 5 gallon and pour it in again and just like hook my hose up to it, I was like, that's worth it. And so I got it's a GROZ one. I got the yellow one, which is zero. The gauge says 0 to 9%, but it varies completely on what your hose is putting out as far as pressure. But so like my 9% or the 9 position on the dial is 10% for me.
Got it.
So it's almost not good enough. But yeah, it's Nikolai on I don't know his Instagram, but he's on the Discord. But anyway, I got it, and it's like so fantastic. Like filling up 10 or 15 gallons of coolant when my coolant runs low. It's just like, oh, I just plug in the hose and turn it on, and then watch the gauge. And when it's done, it's done. Like there's no more mixing, there's no more spilling on the ground, no more carting a 5 gallon thing around. But it's super super awesome. And like I still put the gauze in a 5 gallon bucket. You can buy a 2 inch NPT like standoff fitting, and then I just screwed that into the top of a 5 gallon pail lid, and the thing just sits in there and works perfectly.
Random side tangent because you're talking about something you got. I got
Mm-hmm.
a new chair for my like office room. I got one of those really nice gaming chairs.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that. I saw you post that, and we had talked about it like a month and a half ago or something
Yeah,
like
it was a
that.
while ago, and I figured it's worth spending like $175 or $200 or whatever it was because I'm sitting so much of the day. So I'm like, it's better than my $25 chair. So
And do you like it?
give me another week. I really like it, but one thing it's really annoying is this thing can recline almost completely flat, and I've been falling asleep.
Oh my goodness!
Not
I
okay.
was not
Okay, let
expecting
me
that.
let me let me clarify. I'm not reclining it to a full parallel to the ground and then falling asleep. I'm just letting you guys know it can't do that, but I'm falling asleep at like a 90-degree angle.
So it's just super comfortable then.
Yeah, and it's like a racing chair, so it kind of like cups the sides of your body.
A racing chair
Yeah.
for all those chair races down the hall. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's also got like speakers in it, and I'm like, "Oh my god."
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, then it's got this little pillow thing and everything.
Oh my goodness. What brand is it?
It's GT Racing.
Oh my.
No, I mean
Come
like
on.
the freaking like what is it like in NASCARs or whatever? I don't know, like freaking fast cars, like how the
I know
chairs.
what you mean.
Yeah, like
Side bolsters. Yeah.
yeah. Told you I don't know anything about cars.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Oh man, I'm looking at it right now online. Yeah, it does look like a racing seat.
Yeah, screw you.
Oh man, that is funny.
Yeah,
But
it's a beast. Okay.
all right, well, I'll
Anyways.
bug you. Oh yeah, you have 170 degrees of reclining. That's
Oh
insane.
wow, it really is.
Yeah, it is almost 100% flat.
That's awesome.
I feel like I would fall over in that thing.
No, I've done it. I've done it. I didn't feel
All right.
safe, but I did it. Okay. T5 Manufacturing asks favorite watch to wear when working. I'm not really a watch guy in general, and especially when working, I don't wear anything.
Yeah, I don't. I think I have one watch. I've had like a few watches gifted to me over the years, but nothing. Nothing that I like. I just don't wear one. Like I use the one on my phone more than anything, or like the one on my machine if I need to know the time. But my hands are constantly like in and out of coolant
Yeah,
and in and out of like all kinds of garbage. And the last thing I would want to do is destroy a nice or even like a shitty watch.
yeah, I
Um,
agree.
like even my Whoop strap, I ended up getting the bicep strap for it because I was constantly like taking it on and off or like worrying about which hand I put in where. And so yeah, I don't wear anything pretty much elbows down. I like want to keep clear because I know at some point I'm a dirty machinist and I'm just going to end up with garbage all over me.
That, and I've just heard too many horror stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting pulled into like manual
Oh my
lathes and stuff
god.
like that.
Yeah, we don't even need to go down that.
Yeah. Ibrez says kickflips question mark. Where you at?
Non-existent with a kickflip, Jesus.
Well, how's skateboarding in general going?
I haven't been out in a while, but I'm definitely like, if you would have, I guess, what's the way to put it? When I bought my skateboard, being scared to step on it, I'm no longer there. Like, I can comfortably like just get on and off it and kind of scoot around, and turn. And I don't know what the move is where you lean back and you swivel and you pivot like 180 so you can like turn around and stuff. I don't know.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, that's a big step though. Like not feeling like you're going to eat shit every single time you step on the board is a big step for sure.
Yeah, it didn't help that I went to the skate park the other day, really late at night too, like 1 a.m. Okay, and like there's like these 8-year-olds that are just shredding it up, and I'm just like, this is so embarrassing. And like they come up and they talk to me, and they're like asking me all these questions and stuff. They're like, "Can you do any tricks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, getting on the board." And they're like, "I've been skating, blah blah blah. I've been skating for this long, blah blah blah." And I'm just like, "Oh my god!" And one of them, one of them comes up and he goes, or no, I asked them. I'm like, "How old are you guys?" And they're like 7. One's like 8. One's like, "I'm 9. I'm 9." And I'm like, "Oh god." And they go, "How old are you?" And I go, "I'm 20." And their eyes got the size of like my fist. Um, and they're like, "You're just learning how to skate?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh
And
wow!
no, it
Oh,
gets even
shit.
better. It gets better. And they go, one of them goes, this made me laugh so hard. He goes, "Well, that's okay because you're gonna have kids soon, and they'll be able to skate soon."
Oh my
And I was like, "Whoa!" I'm like, not
wow!
having kids anytime soon. That's
Like I didn't come to the skate park at 1 a.m. to get roasted. I'm
yeah,
going home.
yeah. And so I was talking to like their parents and everything. I was like, God damn.
Wow. Oh man, that is good stuff. I am so glad that he asked that question.
Oh my
uh,
god, I'm dead.
all right, so the last two questions came from our Discord. So a few of you, have joined the Instant Machinist Discord. We created a Within Tolerance one just for the book club and for all of us to kind of be able to talk about it. Like we've got a page for the book club, we've got a page for questions, a general one, a place to introduce yourself, all that stuff. Head over to our Instagram. The link in the bio goes there, and you can join up and talk about the book and all that stuff. But the last two were from Mike on the Discord, and he asked real quick. I'll answer it again. What do I use for book, or what do we use for bookkeeping? And then what do you recommend for someone starting out? And so you still do your books by hand, right?
Yeah, Google Sheets.
Okay, and then I'm using Zero. When I first started out, and definitely what I recommend, unless it's changed drastically in the last year, is Wave Apps, and it's totally free. It's got, there's no like quoting engine or anything like that, but you can create quotes, you can create invoices, you can keep track of customers. It's more or less a full fledged accounting system. You just It's not like super ideal for manufacturing. Like it's there's a lot of not a lot of customization, but there's some customization that I wanted that I didn't have at the level, like at the free level at least. And I was like, well, if I'm going to pay for something, I want something that integrates better. And at the time, I was like, oh, Zero will integrate with my bank account, and so then I can use authorize.net to accept credit card payments. And then they screwed me on that, but I'm still digging Zero. So yeah, if you're gonna go for something, definitely check out Wave Apps. It's free, it's easy to use, and I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
played with QuickBooks, but
yeah, I have never used QuickBooks, but like everyone I talk to is like, if you're not already in QuickBooks, don't go to QuickBooks. They're
pretty
like,
much.
yeah, I can't remember what the company that owns QuickBooks is, but like everybody's like, they're just garbage, and they like don't seem to like their customers, and they're not helpful or anything like that. So and granted, I'm kind of seeing that from Zero too, with the whole integration thing falling apart. But at the same time, I really like their mobile app. Like I can reconcile invoices and all that from my phone, and it's easy to use. And like more and more accountants are starting to get on board with it. So it's good, and it's not that expensive either for what it is. I can't remember what I pay, but it's not terribly expensive. And then the last question was from Josh T, and he said, what questions did I ask my bookkeeper before I hired him, and what should I have asked them? And to the first one, I did not ask them anything. I was like, hey, Brad, you take care of this. Find us a bookkeeper. And they found us a bookkeeper that specializes in small business accounting and all that. And I probably should have, like, at first we were just using them as tax people, and like I don't really care, if they do a good job. I don't really care where I go for that. But before hiring them recently for doing my books monthly, I probably should have like dug into more, maybe not dug into more, but like just seen how many manufacturing companies they actually deal with and things like that. I think we talked about me hiring them to do my books monthly, and then they did nothing for 2 months, like at all.
Whoa.
And I was just about to call them. Like they're not charging me for anything either because I haven't done any work. But I was literally just complaining last night to Brad about it. I was like, they haven't done anything. I'm gonna have to call them. This is BS. And then I looked, and they had reconciled all of my accounts, and I was like, well, shit, I can't do that now. Like, so I'm gonna have to email her or call her and kind of lay things out and be like, listen, I want these done within the first week of the month, like so that I can actually have data and I'm not waiting 3 months for it. And like, granted, I know she has been absolutely slammed with COVID stuff because so many people filed their taxes late. And the last time we talked to her, which was a month ago, she was like still dealing with tax stuff. And so I'm sure she still is. But still, it was frustrating. And I think I'm going to take ownership for it. Like it was definitely, I should have gone in with a more clear cut, like this is when I need it done. This is what I need done. And instead of just going in and being much more loose with that. So, yeah, I would just be very clear with like what you want out of the bookkeeper and make sure that they can do that, and make sure, I think if I was choosing again, I would look for somebody who specializes or deals with a lot of manufacturing companies.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, that wraps up questions.
All right,
Uh,
ladies and gentlemen, take your seat. Class is in session.
so first 10 chapters. First thing I wanted to ask you, are you liking it? Did it live up to the hype that I gave it?
I'll be honest, I'm kind of confused what this book's getting at.
Okay.
Like, I'm understanding, like, the stage is set, like, I understand what's happening, but, like, I feel when I'm reading this, I'm definitely, like, what's the word? Like I'm envisioning, like, just people and, like, how everyone paints their own picture in their head. Like, I'm definitely doing that really hard with this book, but, like, I'm just like, okay, we get it. Like, this company's gonna, like, go bankrupt. Like, okay, I just read 90 pages of, like, we understand you're going bankrupt. Like, what are we getting at here? Um, I did bookmark the page where that one guy talked about, like, the 3 measurement rules or whatever, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. I thought that whole concept was very interesting, and I was trying to, like, think about, okay, how could I apply this to, like, me, and my company? Um, I don't know.
Well, so the big thing, and going back to like uh, Josh Hacko's question and Andrew's question, unless you're investing in something that is like emotionally investing for you, like as a business owner, what the book is saying, at least to me, is that you should be thinking of all improvements or all things that you're spending money on, um, as operational expenses. And does this get me closer to selling inventory?
So
And
it's like
like,
a
if,
way of screening what you're doing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like if you're doing something that you're like, oh, this makes me more productive. And it's like,
Does it really though?
right, ask yourself those questions. Like, has it lowered my operating costs at all? Has it made me sell any more? or has it reduced my inventory? If it hasn't done any of those three, it is not helping you as a business. Again, outside of emotional involvements of like quality of life things, but like big upgrades. Like if I don't know, bought an ERP, for example, and it doesn't help me sell more or it doesn't reduce my operational costs, it probably wouldn't reduce my inventory anyway. Um, then there's no reason. Like it's not an actual improvement. And I actually see this. I feel like as small businesses, maybe some people will see it less, but like I at my day job, I see this stuff all the
Oh,
time
I
where like
bet.
they're like trying to make people work even when we shouldn't be working on that. And it's like, you know what? People can like hang out. Like, like he has that whole thing where he like passes the guys reading the newspaper and he's like, gets them back to work. And it's like, well, did it actually help the bottom line? Like, did it actually make them any more money, or are we just paying them now to do nothing?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot more from here on out. Like when he starts talking to Jonah more, but like a big part of it is asking yourself those three questions and really narrowing down improvements on if they are actually improvements or not, or just like ways for your accountant or for you to feel better in your head about what you're doing.
No, I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad that we're doing this because if I was just reading this book off of your recommendation, I'd be like, what the hell am I reading? But like that's I'm glad we're doing this because we got to do something different for the next week because I know people are listening to our conversations, but maybe we can have a separate question thing where people ask, maybe in the Discord, we can have a channel. I know we have a channel for the book club, but maybe a different one for questions where people can say, like, you know, get our input or, maybe give a statement like, what do you think about this? I don't know, just get some more interaction because I mean, me and you can only talk about this for so long. Um, and
Yeah,
I like getting your opinion, but I'd also like five other people's opinions, right? Um,
totally.
and
Yeah. Well,
so,
and I can bring up some of the not questions, but like people talking about it. It's like Mike on the Discord was saying like he's curious how close this is to a real manufacturing plant, and like this is. I mean, I don't have robots and don't make lights or whatever at where I work, but like a lot of the pitfalls that he's starting to see in these beginning chapters are rampant throughout every single company I've ever worked in. Where like it, the way my boss used to put it, and so like I used to get in trouble at my first job because I would have like two or three machines running and be on my phone, and like our manual machinist slash shop foreman would like come and bitch me out because I was on my phone and like oh you stupid millennial blah blah blah, just like get back to work. And I'm like, dude, I'm making more money than you sitting on my ass right now because I have three machines running than you will make all day.
yeah,
Like, what are you talking about? And the way that my boss used to put it, he said, it's not the evil you're doing, it's the appearance of evil. And like, I feel like a lot of companies slip into that pitfall of like, oh, well, it looks like nobody's being productive. But like, there's that, again, that thing where he makes those guys who are reading newspapers and talking get back to work. And then he's like, well, they're the oddballs out. Like, most people are working hard. There is work getting done. It's not like people are lazy. They just didn't have anything to do at that second. Um,
I guess it's just
so
weird, two-sided coin because there's also companies that people can be running around looking like it's a productive company, but at the end of the day, like nothing gets shipped, right?
yeah, exactly. And yeah, machinist Brett on the Discord also said the same thing. He said it's made me think about what metrics we are using to measure the shop performance with throughput. I frequently said I don't understand what this has to do with anything other than prove that we're not sitting around all day. And like, there are so many metrics that are like that. Like right now, currently at my day job, I am responsible for every single Monday emailing our production manager our machine uptime numbers. And it's like, that means nothing. Like, the percentage that our machines are running
Who cares?
means nothing. Well, and like, what if our machinist put it so well? He's like, if I'm running a 2 minute op and it takes me 1 minute to load it, he's like, I have a lower uptime than something that runs super long. He's like, so we're at odds. Like, we want to lower run times, but we're also tracking machine uptime. And he's like, those will always be at odds. Like, as you improve jobs, the machine uptime goes down.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're totally right. You should tell your boss about
That's a
that.
great point. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like how many parts went out versus your machine time, I would think would be better.
Right. Exactly. I think that's one reason that I really wanted to push this book as our first book, is I think that it really sets the stage for, like, maybe we're looking at the wrong things. Like, and I feel like, other books that I've read build upon this idea of, like, maybe we need to step back and figure out what actual priorities are for a business and then start there. Like the E-Myth talks about some of those things too. But I think that this one, like, I really like the way the story conveys those things in a way that I think a lot of people who work in industry or work in their own shops will understand.
No, yeah, I started reading it and I had no idea that it was about a manufacturing plant. And so they started talking about like machinists and NC machines and setups and I was like, "Oh, okay, like this is good."
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like super old day machines,
Oh
but
yeah, I'm
still,
just
it's
picturing
really
like a
cool.
bunch of like tape reader machines. I don't even know.
Oh, I think that's exactly what it is. And like him talking about, like, oh, the really expensive VP car is like a $60,000 Mercedes,
Yeah.
and like, or his secretary is like super shocked at that. And like nowadays, I'd be like, oh, that's like a 150 or $200,000 McLaren or something like
Yeah.
that. Like that's, you can tell the inflation that has gone on since this book was written.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Another thing that got brought up on the Discord was, Mike said he's slowly growing his little side gig, and if he uses Jonah's terms, it seems that he uses a lot of his profit to upgrade and get new equipment and operational expense as his throughput increases. But they really should be indirect: decrease operational expenses and increase throughput. Is that a problem, or do all small businesses go through this? And I think that all small businesses have to go through that. Like, you're either bootstrapping like crazy and barely making ends, or like barely making the jobs go out, or you're reinvesting and like have really high operational expenses at the beginning, um, so that you can increase that throughput. And also, I mean, it's not all operational expenses. Like, they break that down in, I think, chapter 9 or chapter 10. He's talking about how machinery that you buy, the depreciated part of it is an operational expense, but it's still an investment. So it's still inventory, and it's still worth something until it's 100% depreciated.
Yeah, because you can always sell it.
Right. Yeah. For the right, what do you say? He says, like, for the right price, anything in the company can be sold.
I like
So
in the general chat of our Discord, this just made me die so hard. This guy named Mike just goes, "Bill Peach is a dick," and I just
yeah,
and I just died laughing when he said that. That's like the first thing he said when he joined.
yeah. I thought that was fantastic. I like hadn't started reading again, until like a day or two after that, and then I reread it. And I was like, oh yeah, no, he is
Yeah.
totally. Um, So yeah, I think that that's my big takeaway, at least for the first 10 chapters or
That
whatever,
makes
is that,
sense.
like, you start using those things to justify what you're actually doing. And I again, I see it all the time at my day job. Like, we do things that make us feel like we're progressing, and it's like, oh, we're going to do this big project and it'll make us do this and this and this, and it's like, but did we actually make any money? Like, or did we, cut jobs, or did we reduce parts on the shelf? No. Well, then, we did is pat ourselves on the back for nothing. Um,
No, I'm trying to just I do better relating things to like my company so I can kind of understand it. And I guess maybe a comparison would be so like today I was printing some parts. They have to be printed on both sides and I have a fixture that was already made that I can print 5 left sides and 5 right sides at a time, okay? So
mhm.
that's after 2 cycles, that's 5 completed parts. Um, and I have a fixture that I could do like 25 left sides and then flip them and do 25 right sides. And my cycle time would be up. But then, because my problem is doing 5 parts at a time, the cycle time is so quick that I'm constantly going over there. Um, but then I thought about it to myself. I'm like, wait a minute, is this actually would it actually be more efficient to make that bigger fixture? It wouldn't be because you do the math and it's still only like 30 seconds per figure to do this. that's pretty freaking good. Like I just don't see. I kind of caught myself, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. Like it just. I think what all I'm getting at is that this process kind of sucks, but it just kind of is what it is. Um,
So on one hand, yes, but like if you running 25 at a time allows you to sell more inventory, like if you can pack 5 more orders in the time uninterrupted that you're running that machine versus being there and using labor every 3 minutes, then your throughput goes up and your operational expenses stay the same.
I guess my counter to that would be unloading a part fixture of 10 parts versus 25 parts is a lot quicker. So it kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it balance.
So really, like that's nitty gritty stuff where you'd have to
Yeah,
like actually time yourself and see how much that time is worth for you. Because like we both know long cycle times equals more time to do other stuff, and as like a solopreneur, that's where you kind of that's like your force multiplier, I guess. If you have like an employee doing that stuff, then it doesn't really matter. Like you're that's still an operational expense. Who cares? But like if you're the only one working there, and it means that you get more orders out the door, then I would totally go the longer cycle time route.
yeah, that makes sense.
But it sounds like you're starting to have more and more people help you out. So if you can get somebody to sit there and load and unload a 5 part fixture, I would do that instead.
I agree. Yeah. So,
But
what are we thinking for the next batch of pages? We did up to 79, it was.
yeah,
So, let's
so
see here.
I was looking, and we can either do. I was
To
thinking
chapter
like
20, it's
chapter.
like 160.
So we could do 160, but I know we didn't want to be on this book for like a million months either.
I'm just
So I
looking
would
at how thick this is. We could do like a quarter, another 25%.
yeah, because the book actually ends. I just looked at this because there's like a whole after thing where it talks about Hitachi tool. So it ends on 337.
Yeah, okay.
So that would be 84 pages if we wanted to do in four parts.
So, should we
So I was either thinking 160, or I was even going to just do longer because now they have more time to read and go up to like 212,
so
which would put us at the end of 25.
let's see. Yeah, that'd work. Cuz I do 10 pages a day. That's 13 days. That's 130 pages.
Okay. So, all right. So we're going to go to the end of chapter 25 for everybody who's doing it on audiobook. And that is the end of page 212 if you have the 30th anniversary edition of the goal. But the end of chapter 25.
Yeah, and then we'll post when it like, this our next solo episode comes closer, and get a little more interaction from you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll have to see. I might be able to record on the road, but I'm going to be
Oh, that's
gone
right.
on a road trip the 9th through, I don't know, open ended. I have that entire next week off.
Okay.
So depending on where I am in the country and what kind of Wi-Fi I have, I'll bring my laptop and microphone and a little stand or something. We'll see if we can get some stuff done because I have this entire week of stuff in the shop. So I'll have stuff to talk about in addition to being on vacation, which will be nice.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. Oh, what did you research this week?
Oh no, I had something. I need to write this down. I'm trying to think. I totally had something and I was so proud of it. Was it the no, it wasn't that. You go first. Give me a second.
No, you got to go first because I'm still looking.
Hey, shoot.
Oh, actually, I do have something totally machining related too. So YG1 right now is having a sale on their high feed mills. And I've been like debating getting into high feed mills for steels and stainless steels and stuff like that. And it's buy 30 inserts, get the cutter for free. And so like for a 3/4 inch high feed mill. It's like 225 for 30 inserts and the
That's a
body.
crap ton of inserts.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I think, 3 flutes. It's a 3 flute cutter, and each insert has 4 cutting edges.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have pretty much what, 40
Yeah.
loads worth for 225, which is just crazy. So I'm thinking I'm going to pull the trigger on that. I kind of wanted a threaded body one, but he says that they're like a few months out. So I'm either going to get the threaded body one, or I'm just going to get the weld on shank one and get a uh, holder for Mari tool for it. But I think it'd just be a nice way to rough out, future titanium orders or stainless orders or stuff like that.
Yeah, do it.
So I've been doing a lot of research there, and they've actually got a few pretty good deals right now on like their dream drills, which I know a lot of people have talked about on Instagram and said really good things about. And they're just doing some really good deals overall.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I need to write it down. I was totally thinking of it last night when I was driving home. Oh, my God. Um,
uh,
yeah, I got nothing. I guess the only thing would be the function of nylon bushings in a stripper plate injection mold is kind of interesting. Um, if you look up on YouTube just the function of like a stripper plate injection mold, it's really interesting. There's no ejector pins on this mold. It simply uses a plate, a stripper plate, to strip the parts away from the runner or the sprue. And there's just no ejector pins, which I've never ran a mold like that. It's kind of scary, but it's also really cool at the same time on how they use these nylon bushings to basically create a temporary um, interference fit or press fit until the mold half gets to a certain point, and then it can let go of that plate.
oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah. So if you look at the pictures I posted on my main Instagram, just BrickTactical, I think on one of the pictures you can see that they're like a pink nylon. Yeah, and the last picture you can kind of see it if you zoom in. You can see one of them. Um, so that creates an interference fit with that plate to the right of it.
Let me pull it up real quick. BrickTactical. All right. So
Last picture.
I was gonna say there's a whole bunch of pictures of you. All right, so I'm looking at it right now. So you got the mold in front of you, and you said the plate on the far right.
So zoom in the middle, you should see like a little nipple, little red. That's a nylon bushing.
Okay.
So that creates an interference fit with the plate to the right of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when that mold is opening from left to right, those three plates are stuck together. And then when it hits a certain spot, it gives way and it separates that plate. And that's where the parts come out, is between those two plates. And then between that center plate and the ones to the right is where the sprue comes out.
Okay. Awesome.
So I was just trying to wrap my head around that the other day, and I was like, I think I understand it, but I just wanted to confirm my suspicion.
Well, I'm both happy that you're gonna get them done for you, but also sad that you won't get the experience of it.
If anything, I might stay there until they set it up and watch it run, and just kind of, sit back and watch over their shoulder. I'm sure they'd be fine with that.
That's a good idea.
So
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
yeah,
That'd be nice to get the experience without having to, sit there and actually run
yeah,
it.
yeah. All right. It's getting dark, and I wanted to go on a walk, but it's dark, so I'm gonna go on a walk now.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for sticking with us. Next week we have our interview with Matthias from Hermley coming out. Thank you again for all the questions you guys submitted. It was a super fun episode to record. And I think you guys will learn a lot. I know we did about 5-axis and all that stuff. And yeah, join the Discord. Again, link in our bio, the Within Tolerance podcast bio. We'd love to have you on there. It's super fun to get to chat a little more about the book and then just with our audience and get questions and all that stuff. I'm on there pretty much daily. So I think Payton jumps into fairly often. So it's much more of a direct connection to us than DMing us on Instagram.
Yeah, and then other than that, yeah, that's about it actually.
Yeah. Oh, and then t-shirts will be coming out this week. I'll post the link on our Instagram. I'll post it in the Discord. Um, yeah, you'll be able to pick from a few different colors, buy as many or as little as you want, and it'll all ship directly to you.
69 is ideal quantity.
All right, guys. Well, you have an excellent week, and we will talk to you
That
soon.
was intended for Yeti Man only. All right, bye.